You want the truth? For decades, America has told Africa that we need them. Their aid, their technology, their money, to grow. They say real innovation only happens in Silicon Valley or in the halls of MIT. But look again. Look at what we've done with the trash they throw away. Actual garbage. While they burn trillions on foreign wars and bail out corrupt banks, we're paving stronger roads using discarded tires. They call it waste. We call it infrastructure. Their highways crack every winter. Ours withstand heat, rain, and time, and still hold strong. Maybe it's time the world stopped looking to Wall Street and Washington for answers and started paying attention to what unbought leaders can do. We don't need permission. We don't need their loans. And we certainly don't need lectures on democracy from the same empires that support dictators when it benefits them. We're showing that progress doesn't come from puppet strings. It comes from within, from people who rise not because they're allowed to, but because they refuse to be stopped. What if I told you that old, discarded tires could revolutionize an entire nation's infrastructure? That what most countries treat as toxic waste, one visionary leader is turning into roads that are cheaper, more durable, and more environmentally friendly than anything the so-called developed world has ever built. You might think it sounds impossible, but in the heart of West Africa, in a country many couldn't even point to on a map, something extraordinary is happening, something that's captured the attention of engineers, environmentalists, and development experts around the world. This is the story of Ibrahim Traoré and Burkina Faso's transformation. From a forgotten, debt-burdened nation to a beacon of innovation, showing the world how to build better. This isn't just another feel-good tale of development. It's the story of a man who dared to think differently when others said it couldn't be done. A story of turning the world's trash into treasure and proving that the most revolutionary solutions often come from the most unexpected places. But before we dive deeper, think about this. Have you ever driven down a road that cracked after just one winter? Have you ever seen mountains of old tires polluting the land and wondered why no one does anything about them? Ibrahim Traoré wondered the same thing, but unlike most, he decided to act. Picture Burkina Faso in 2022, a landlocked nation in West Africa struggling under the weight of international debt. Roads crumbled, washed away each rainy season, or cracked beneath the scorching sun. Remote villages were cut off from cities, with ambulances, fire trucks, and school buses stuck for hours on impassable paths, sometimes with life or death consequences. This was the reality Traoré inherited when he came to power. But instead of begging for more aid or sinking deeper into debt importing expensive materials, he asked a simple question: what if the solution is already here? That's when he turned his gaze toward what everyone else saw as worthless: old automobile tires. Every year, billions of tires reach the end of their lifespan. In most countries, they become environmental disasters, piled high in landfills, breeding mosquitoes, releasing toxic fumes when burned, and polluting rivers and soil for centuries. But what if they weren't waste? What if they were the key to building some of the most durable roads on Earth? That's exactly what Ibrahim Traoré discovered, and what he's now proving to the world. Teams of workers across Burkina Faso are collecting old tires that once polluted the land and transforming them into the foundation of a new kind of infrastructure. One born from resilience, creativity, and the refusal to wait for permission to build Africa's future. These aren't just car tires. They come from trucks, motorcycles, bicycles, anything with rubber that's reached the end of its life. But here's where it gets fascinating. Instead of following conventional road-building methods, Traoré's engineers lay these tires directly on the ground in carefully planned patterns. Every tire is placed with precision, forming a foundation that's flexible yet incredibly strong. Then comes the key ingredient: a specially formulated cement mixture that bonds perfectly with rubber. This isn't ordinary concrete. It's designed to withstand the extreme temperature swings of the African climate, from scorching 120-degree days to surprisingly cold nights. The cement flows into and around the tires, creating a composite that merges the best qualities of both materials. The result: roads that cost 40% less than traditional ones and last far longer. But the benefits go even deeper. Rubber has a remarkable ability to absorb compression and vibration. When heavy trucks drive over these roads, instead of forming cracks like concrete or asphalt, the rubber base flexes and evenly distributes the weight. That means these roads resist potholes, endure heavy loads, and remain intact through the wear of time. They're also more resistant to earthquakes and extreme weather, moving with the earth instead of breaking apart. And the environmental impact is nothing short of revolutionary. Those tires that once polluted landscapes are now permanently sealed within the roads, no longer posing any environmental threat. It's not just recycling, it's upcycling on a national scale. The transformation is tangible. In rural areas of Burkina Faso, journeys that once took 5 exhausting hours on unsafe, unpaved roads now take just 1 hour on these tire-based highways. For a pregnant woman trying to reach a hospital, or farmers racing to deliver crops before they spoil, that change can mean the difference between life and death. The economic ripple effect has been profound. This innovation didn't just fix a crumbling infrastructure problem. It created an entirely new industry. Thousands of young people now have steady jobs collecting, cleaning, sorting, and laying tires for construction. From collection to maintenance, every stage employs local workers, injecting money directly into communities that once had little opportunity. And the innovation keeps evolving. Local engineers have discovered that filling the hollow centers of the tires with sand or recycled plastic makes the roads even stronger and more durable. It's innovation building upon innovation, each improvement pushing the limits of what's possible. You might think this sounds too good to be true, but there's no hidden catch. The genius lies not just in the engineering, but in the economics. Most developing countries spend huge portions of their foreign currency importing costly road materials like bitumen and asphalt, trapping themselves in cycles of debt for infrastructure they can barely maintain. By using locally available waste materials, Burkina Faso has broken that cycle. Money stays within the country, creating jobs, developing skills, and strengthening the economy from the ground up. That's what Ibrahim Traoré understood from the beginning. True development doesn't come from dependency on foreign aid or imported solutions. It comes from using what you already have, wisely, creatively, and collectively. The world is taking notice. Delegations from Mali, Niger, and Chad have visited Burkina Faso to learn from this model, and European environmental organizations are calling it a breakthrough that could reduce pollution worldwide. For Ibrahim Traoré, though, this is about more than roads. It's a philosophy, a declaration that self-reliance, innovation, and courage can transform even the poorest of nations into examples for the world. And this tire road revolution is only the beginning of his bold vision for Burkina Faso's future. Let me tell you about another project that's reshaping Burkina Faso. The artificial canal system that's revolutionizing agriculture across the nation. For generations, farmers lived at the mercy of unpredictable rainfall. Seeds were planted in faith, but without reliable water, they often remained buried in dry soil, never sprouting into life. Crops failed, families went hungry, and entire communities were trapped in a cycle of poverty, left to look helplessly at the sky and pray for rain that never came. Ibrahim Traoré saw this not as an impossible challenge, but as an opportunity to create lasting change. His artificial canal system isn't just a network of ditches or waterways. It's a smart, nation-spanning water management system designed to capture rain during the wet season and distribute it throughout the year to regions that need it most. Here's how it works. During the rainy season, instead of letting the precious rainwater flow away into rivers and out of the country, the system channels and stores it in strategically placed reservoirs. Then, through the dry months, this stored water is released and guided through a network of canals that reach farmlands across the nation. The results have been nothing short of miraculous. Farmers who once struggled to grow enough food to survive are now harvesting surpluses. Once barren lands are now lush with green fields and thriving crops. Burkina Faso is rapidly moving toward food self-sufficiency, with serious discussions underway about becoming a food exporter to neighboring countries. But the impact extends far beyond agriculture. The reservoirs have become thriving ecosystems for fish farming, creating new livelihoods. Farmers are forming cooperatives and reinvesting in their land with confidence. Young people who once fled to cities in search of work are returning home to find new opportunities in farming, aquaculture, and water management. The transformation is so dramatic that satellite images now show expanding green belts across what was once dry, lifeless terrain. The land itself is changing, literally coming back to life. And this brings us to Ibrahim Traoré's next visionary step, the creation of a self-sufficient solar city, a model of sustainability for the entire world. Imagine a city where every home, school, and hospital is powered entirely by solar energy. No tangled web of power lines, no smoke, belching power plants, no crippling electricity bills. Just clean, abundant energy drawn from the sun. This isn't a dream or a distant plan. It's already being built in the heart of Burkina Faso. The solar city represents a complete rethinking of how urban areas function. Instead of relying on centralized grids, each building will generate its own power through rooftop solar panels, contributing excess energy back into a smart, decentralized network that distributes power wherever it's needed. But the vision doesn't end there. This city is also being designed as a center for education, technology, and innovation. Schools will train students in renewable energy, solar engineering, and sustainable design. Solar-powered buses will provide clean public transportation. Free solar internet zones will connect young people to the global digital economy. For a nation where electricity was once a rare luxury, this is a revolution. Children who once studied by candlelight will grow up surrounded by endless clean energy. Young people will master advanced technologies and gain the skills to compete globally. Ibrahim Traoré's projects, whether turning tires into roads, rain into rivers, or sunlight into power, aren't just rebuilding a nation. They're redefining what's possible when a country stops waiting for help and starts building its own future. The project is also generating thousands of jobs in the manufacturing, installation, and maintenance of solar energy systems. Instead of relying on imported technology, Burkina Faso is building its own capacity to produce these systems locally, creating new industries, new skills, and a stronger foundation for economic independence. But beyond the technology and the jobs, the solar city stands as a powerful symbol. It shows that developing nations don't have to choose between economic progress and environmental protection. It proves that cutting-edge innovation can thrive even in places once dismissed as too poor or too remote. With vision, determination, and political will, sustainable growth is not only possible, it's inevitable. The world is taking notice. International experts and observers are watching closely, calling this initiative one of the most ambitious and inspiring models of sustainable urban development in Africa. If it succeeds, it could become a blueprint for cities across the continent and beyond, a living example of how to build a future that's both prosperous and sustainable. Now, let me put all of this in perspective for you.